And hey, everybody, welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and whatever the heck you want. And thanks for coming. So let everybody join in the room. First person's in. Is it Steve? It sure is. There you go, Steve. You're the man. First one in today. We've had pretty good crowds last few weeks because you all have the same question. You want to know things. So I'll let the room start to fill up here and see who else is around. Marlon John. Oh, it's so close. All right. Might be, are you newcomer, Marlon? I don't remember seeing your name before, but we're all friends here in Commander Land, supposedly. And let's see, 802. Yep, we're doing an hour. Probably doing the next, let's see, how many weeks is it till the Super Bowl? About three? So probably three or so. Three or four more of these. I'm going to take a break. All right. We're kind of waiting. Part of it is waiting on a new head coach to come, and we'll see. I think it's Ben Johnson, but I don't. I wouldn't say that for sure, but I think it could be. And so here's the deal with interviewing people. Anybody whose team is still alive in the playoffs, which is only four teams, but uh, the Baltimore Ravens, McDonald, Ben Johnson with Detroit. It's two of them. I don't think anybody on the San Francisco staff is being looked at here, or Kansas City again. So um, they may have to wait for the guys. They can talk to anybody else, uh, and I'm sure, and they are talking to people. They're doing a good job of just kind of getting various opinions. In some respects, it's great self scouting because these coaches come in and say, "Well, here's what I do." All right, so listen to their opinions. They're valid opinions, and you see which guy you like. I think it's whoever really commands the room will get this job. Because last week we had the new GM come in, Adam Peters, and he basically said, "I don't care if it's an offensive defense guy. I want a leader of men." Yeah, I mean that's why sports is so followed because good leaders aren't always easy to find. We've had coaches here I thought before were not particularly good leaders. I think the best one, well, Joe Gibbs is always number one. I think any list you make, Joe Gibbs is number one. But after him, I'd say Marty Schottenheimer was a really good leader here. Turned him around from an 0-5 to finish 8-3. That was probably Dan Snyder's maybe biggest mistake was get rid of Marty like he did. Um, and Gibbs, and outside of that, I mean, you had guys like Spurrier, Zorn, Gruden that were not good leaders. Norv was not a good leader for a number of years. So it's not as easy, and that's why a lot of sports coaches give speeches for big money at events because businesses want to hear how they can basically turn the office staff into one team. And that's why coaches are always so in high demand for those kind of things. It used to be they wrote books a lot, especially basketball coaches, it seemed. And people, they did really well. People don't do that as much anymore. But I mean, a good coach can get you from good to great. A bad coach can't. And not every coordinator is meant to be a head coach. It was interesting today, though. I got a video out on it tomorrow morning. Eric Bieniemy was interviewed by the team for the head coaching job. It's only right because he kind of came with that caveat when he came here last year. He would get a chance to, if something happened, to be the head coach, at least get to talk about it. And so he did. When we were here, let me move my chair a little bit here, and so Eric got his chance. And I was thinking, I think Eric might be a better head coach than he was an offensive coordinator. Now, if you hire him as the head coach, he'll hire somebody else to be offensive coordinator. Yeah, same kind of system and thinking about things, but it's different. Head coach has, as Ron said, has to do a lot of other stuff. True, especially anymore. It seems like it. You just don't get to hang out in the football areas. You get pulled in 10 directions at once, and Ron got the worst of that kind of deal. Um, and Ron, by the way, came out that he's interviewed with going to the Eagles defensive coordinator job. And Joel asked me just about that now. I don't care if that's what Ron really wants to do. Ron wants to be a defensive coordinator. Take a take a step back from the pressure. Defensive coordinators only talk to the media once a week for 10 minutes. So he can kind of just go back to being a coach if that's what he wants to do. And if I was in Washington, I wouldn't fear that being a division rival because half his team's going to be gone by next fall. So he won't even know half of them, and I'm not sure he knows what to do with Sam Howell. He didn't hear, so I'm not worried about him countering Sam Howell. But anyway, back to EB. I like EB as a leader in a lot of respects. Yeah, guys complain and moan. You know who does that a lot? Losers. So who cares what they have to say? Wolves do not care about the opinions of sheep. And EB is a wolf. Now, you may not agree with his offensive play calling. I didn't agree with everything. But that's not what you're hiring him here to do. You're hiring him to now kind of run everything. And I think EB's that kind of boss, if you've ever had one of these, that pushes you to the limit, but he makes you better. And when you survive it, you're happy that you went through it and made you better for it most of the time. And that's not the same thing as a jerk. That's just a jerk to people. And I'd work for EB. I wouldn't have a problem with it. He just demands you go do your job. And if you don't, then you get in trouble. So I wonder if he'll be, a head coach somewhere. I think he has to. I did see improvement in this where he toned down his language. I think people came to him and basically said, "You've got to stop with all the cursing in public. It's turning people off." I said that in August. Everybody thought I was wrong. I got criticized. By the end of the season, everybody kind of fell into what I was doing. So that's why I think EB. I don't really expect EB to be the Commanders' head coach, but he's got a puncher's chance because you never know. They might hang out for, you know, Ben Johnson or whatever, and the guy doesn't want to come here. The choices are becoming fewer and fewer openings, but and not to say that they will come here. So then you got to say, what do you do? Well, and if you're not going to choose EB, I think honestly you should let him go and let him pursue all the things. But he's free to pursue other head coaching jobs too. Really happy Antonio Pierce got the Raiders job. I remember, AP when he was playing here, what was it, about 20 years ago? Good guy, good solid leader. Leader. That's his biggest thing. So I wish him well there. I thought it was pretty good. Who would I pick as the next coach? Outlaw King wants to know. I still kind of like Harbaugh. It won't be easy with him, but Harbaugh's a good coach. Here's the bottom line: you want to win games, or you want to play with things. Dan Snyder played with things forever; they sucked. How about we get a guy in here that one way or another is kicking this team to the top? That's what I want to see at this point in my life. LimeWire. So, what's my number one tour site in DC? I think the Lincoln Memorial. If you sit on the steps of Lincoln Memorial and watch the day go by, it's a pretty cool place, honestly, to see it. Bruce Spot, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a tour guide also. So if you're coming to Washington, I did tours with a couple viewers in the past week. It's a little cold right now, but when it comes spring, it would be better. It was cold out there. It's actually snowed twice in DC in the last week. That's really weird. We hadn't had snow in 2 years, then we get it twice in like 4 days. Not a lot of snow, but some. Here, anything is something. Could be a pain in the butt. They even shut the federal government down one day. Schools, a couple inches of snow. I know, we're wimps. Let's see, Roost, 599. Do I think the Harris Group is hard at work with getting the RFK site? There is discussions going on behind the scenes, but they're not in full tilt yet. There's a lot. I think once they have the coach on board too, the team will concentrate a little more about the stadium. But what I've been told pretty much is I don't think they're going to really have a decision till at least the end of the year. And then, it takes a while to do all that. I mean, look at Leonsis with the basketball arena that wants to move. He just said, we want to move here. It's going to take a lot of fighting, including the state house to put up money. I don't think it's a given that he's moving there. I think they will in the end, but I don't know that it's a given. These things take forever. So I still think 2030 might kind of what people are thinking is the exit date of FedEx. And then you're going to hear my magic word, personal seat licenses. Woo, you're going to pay some money to go sit in that new stadium. Let's see. David. Hi, David. Just wondering what's going on behind the scenes while the front office is waiting for interviews. Well, one thing they did finish in the past week, you still have assistant coaches under contract and all. They have to finish grading film, do all these assessments. Part of grading film is because players have incentives in their contracts. So you got to still add up numbers to see if they reach them. So they had to do that for a few days. I think they're taking a little bit of a quick breather, and they're all probably trying to line up all their jobs. So that's kind of what's going on there. And the front office is probably, I think we're going to see a scout or two new people come on. That's something Adam Peters is starting to work on. And he's working on the coaching search. So really, coaching search is the biggest thing for Adam Peters right now. Santiago, there you go. What was my favorite game over the weekend? You know, in a span of 2 weekends over that, I watched 10 football games and 2 Maryland basketball games. I felt like I don't know how you people do it. I felt like I had to go to rehab after watching them all. I couldn't take it anymore. Usually, I watch the Commanders game that I'm covering, and I watch one parts of another game or two, and that's it. Man, 10 games. I was ready to drop dead. I was so tired watching football. Um, but probably the Kansas City Buffalo game, which was the last of the 10. You know, um, I just kind of got tired watching this. Coming up this weekend, we got Baltimore against Kansas City. I'm going to take Baltimore. Close game, 3 points, I'd say. And that's what the line is. So I wouldn't bet the game. Bet the over, maybe. And then Detroit's going out to San Francisco. I'm going to take Detroit. Really, I like new teams to win, but Detroit's got some dog in them, man, as Doc Walker likes to say. I think they got a lot of dog in them. I think they can upset San Francisco. Baltimore, I just think is the best team out there. Good, good group. So that's my picks. And I'm plus 18 in the win column this season, but 5-5 in the playoffs. Hi, Albert. Glad you could come. Joel, I can't believe how many coaches in the playoffs this year were on Washington staff. Yeah. I mean, let's see. Do we have something about Mara Levy here too? Um, yeah, they're just everywhere. But I often laughed that I knew people all around the league, coaches wise, especially because they kept flipping staffs here at one point for so many times. Where guys were here like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years. Now the last three coaches, Rivera, Gruden, and Shanahan, all did, 4 or 5 years. So it's not quite like that. But yeah, Shanny's coaching tree, man, there really were a lot of guys. I mean, I thought that Kyle was too young to be a head coach. People always thought that Kyle would replace Mike. Well, Mike thought he'd stick around longer for starters. But I thought Kyle was a little too young then, but that was then. This is now. A lot more years have gone by. By the way, I kind of love the Kelsey brother without a shirt, drinking beer and raising hell and right by Taylor Swift and some triple X site um, offered him a 3-year, $12 million deal. And I don't know if they were serious about this, but they put out a release. It said he could come be their corporate guy, logo guy that he didn't have to take his clothes off, but he would, be the spot, that. And they said, big guys are unpopular now. And I thought, 3 years, 12 mil, I'll go see you too. That's crazy. It was just funny to watch. The part where the one playing, the Kelsey brother playing, does that, heart for after he scores a touchdown, he does the Taylor Swift heart with his hands or whatever you say there, like that or whatever. And I thought, oh, please. It's so sweet. I wish them well. There's rumors about him being married, but I don't believe that at all. Taylor Swift, when she gets married, it's going to be a TV event. She's going to make a lot of money. Not that she needs it, but pretty girl, like that, that'd be a fashion icon moment. Then I can run it off, get married. Besides, he's already got Super Bowl to worry about if he can get by this week. I agree, Joe. A tough loss for the Bills. I was rooting for him. Somebody new, trying to knock them off, but hey, man, Kansas City won the game. Brandon, thank you so much for asking. Yeah, we're doing great. Steve, thank you so much for hitting that. Well, we're 15 minutes in already. So there is a thanks button, which is a $ below me here. If you'd like to contribute to the show, so I do it every week because I don't do this for fun. I do it for money, and you get a rare chance to talk to somebody like me on the inside. I would appreciate it. I think next week I'm going to show my book, my new book on presidents and drinking is coming out very soon. We're in the final proofs now, so maybe next Monday I might have it ready to go. A little sooner than I thought. But it's 119 pages of presidents and drinking, so that's coming out. We'll talk about it next week. I'll probably have it ready to go then. So Steve must have seen a tweet I had about it. What's worse, peanut butter on a burger or pineapple on a pizza? Because I saw the football commercials had this new peanut butter bacon burger or something, just eat your burger. Why does everything have to be something weird? Pineapple on a pizza, I eat about twice a year. About every 6 months, I just have a hankering for it, so I'll do it, and then I won't do it again for about 6 months. So I would say peanut butter is worse. David, Brian Callahan to Tennessee just announced. Yeah, I knew they were a couple hours ago. We heard that that was going to happen. So Brian Callahan was the son of Bill Callahan, or is the son of Bill Callahan, who was Washington's interim head coach when they fired Gruden and was the offensive line coach for a while. So now his son is the head coach. I know I'm getting old when I keep having seeing sons promoted to be head coaches. And the NFL really has become a family business as far as coaching goes. It's hard to break into NFL staffs anymore. You got to know somebody, and it seems like every staff has a son on. Every coach has a son on the staff. Really weird. It used not to be that way, but now the money is so good. I think, and staffs are getting so much bigger. I mean, it used to be, head coach was also one of the two coordinators. Not now. And they have assistant line coaches. It's like everybody. It's like basketball. NBA has like 15 coaches per team. They only have like 15 players a team. Every player's got their own coach. Well, whoever's doing it for the Wizards, I'd fire all 15 of those guys because the Wiz are now 7-36, I think. Oh, it's something ridiculous. You got to fire. I'm sorry, you got to fire Wes Unseld on that one. Gregory, do I think defensive coordinator for the Ravens has a real chance? Yes, I do. I think I've not met him though. That's my problem here is I've not met him or Johnson, so I don't know what they're like. I remember when McVay went to the LA Rams for an interview, and everybody said, "Oh, he's just doing it to get the experience. He's only 30. He's too young." And I thought, "No, I've been around Sean McVay at Redskin Park, and I knew if he got in that room, he'd get the job. He was that impressive a guy." And he's done great. He's won a Super Bowl there and all. He's a good coach. I knew he would do it. So until since I know they want leadership more than anything, and I haven't met the guys, it's hard for me to really rank who's got what going. Shanny is really aging. Which one, Joel? Dad looks about the same, but maybe the son looks kind of worn out. When do I think Washington will hire the head coach, Santiago? Well, I think a couple of days after Detroit loses is my guess, but it's still a guess because they have to interview live with the owner, and maybe they're not good at it or something. You don't know. I don't know if Ben Johnson's ready to come in here and kick everybody's butt and grab the job and go, or if he's kind of a mild mannered guy. I haven't been around him, so that's going to be an interesting thing to see happen. Just like not just McVay, we would say Mike Tomlin. The Steelers were going to go with somebody else, but they wanted to interview Tomlin. Tomlin went in there and won the job. I mean, it was really done for Russ Grimm was going to be the coach. And the last second, Tomlin just wowed him. And, history has shown Tomlin hasn't had a losing season in 17 years. So you have to say that was a pretty good pick. Why they're letting him go to the last year of his contract, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't won a Super Bowl in a while, but who has? Tell me who his quarterback is. Yeah, that's part of his problem. Leonard, recall the last OC that got a head coaching gig and turned it out great. I think Joe Gibbs was good. Okay, Joe Gibbs was 40 years ago. I know. Oh, there's been some, sure. I don't think it matters which side of the ball you get. Brandon, who would I like? Oh, Santiago, thank you, by the way, for chipping in. Brandon, who would I like to see as Washington's next head coach? Harbaugh. I'd like Harbaugh. I know it'd be chaos. I know it'd be trouble. I don't care. I want to see somebody win. Harbaugh's win, both of them. Thought on the report after EB's interview, Abe asked. So this show, will say, the average person watches this show about 15 minutes. So I don't mind repeating questions because we'll get people in and out of here all the time. And more people watch the show on replay after it's over. Usually about at least twice as many watch on replay now. And if you are watching on replay, you can hit the thanks button. It'll get to me. But anyway, I answered this before, but that's why I say I think Harbaugh is it. And as far as EV, I think it was expected. and I think they owed it to him. And it was a good debriefing, if nothing else. And who knows? Maybe he went in there and won the job. I like EB. I like his attitudes. It's old school. Players who complain about it being tough. Yeah, my heart bleeds for you. Thanks for the 4 wins. See ya. Section 414. Oh yeah, I did your question in one of the 3 questions. If it hasn't come out yet, it will soon. Zach Taylor, Kyle Shanahan, just 2 off that. Yeah, Kyle's one of the OCs. Joel, is there any chunk wagon players still living? The chunk wagon. That I don't remember offhand what that is, Joel. Tell me about that. It's probably something I've forgotten. Brad, one thing you missed about old school reporting versus now. Um, well, I liked it that when I had it in the paper the next day, that what before the internet really got big, you had to wait a whole day to come back and beat me. So you could kind of enjoy the morning, but by the afternoon you better get hitting the reporting again because that guy that you beat, he's ready to kick your butt too. I do the same thing to them. So you got the morning to enjoy it. I do. I now with the internet and Twitter, it's all moments apart, and people don't really value the reporting as much as we used to have. Do I blame Josh Allen for losing the game, Joe? No, no. I mean, he played a pretty good game overall. Brett, did we have the interview by Skype with Ben Johnson yet? Yes, I believe that was Friday that they did that. Kind of a hard way to do it. I think the Skype thing or Zoom, whatever it's called now. I think that would tell you if somebody totally isn't the right guy for you. If it's, if you can just spot, oh, I don't like this guy at all, whatever. I think you can weed out some of that, but it can't tell you how great the guy could be in person. People are better at some things than others in this process. So I think it just kind of clears out some things, and they get a look at people. Any sleeper in a head coaching search, Abe? Well, I mean, EB in a way would be a sleeper because people kind of pushed it back, but I don't know. Alan, thank you so much for chipping in. I do appreciate it. Back in the defensive players, I'm going to call him a chunk wagon. Yeah, there's guys still around, like Fisher's still around. I have to think about that because I don't want to say somebody and they say, no, he's dead. But yeah, there's guys around from the 60s still. Not, as Sonny Jurgensen, I read a quote from him one day saying our class is graduating. I mean, a lot of are passing on. It's true. Norm Snead passed away last week. He was the team's number 2 overall pick, 1961, and he was traded for Sonny and a couple other players involved in the trades. Sonny always reminds me of that. Okay. Greg says take the time because you have to get it right. Well, you can take it, but you can't wait forever because other people want Ben Johnson among other things. So figure out what you want to ask, do a good interview, and then make your choices. David, joining late. It's okay. We have here the whole hour. Who would I take with the number 2 pick? No, we have not discussed that yet. I would trade the number 2 pick overall down. Let me put it this way: if Fields is really available in Chicago, which I don't believe he is, if Justin Fields was available in Chicago, I would try and trade for him with a lesser pick, take that number 2, and either go Marvin Harrison or trade down. And I'd still do that in a way. I would trade down. They need too many things. The only thing you don't need is an interior defensive lineman at this point. Other than that, you could go anywhere and improve. So if they could get a king's ransom for picks, I, I would stay with one more year with Sam and try and bulk up the rest of the team. There's always a hot shot quarterback coming out. So why worry about it? Just go another year and see what can happen. Maybe Sam is the guy. Who knows? Will I be covering the Senior Bowl or Combine, Alan? No, not anymore. Been there, done that kind of stuff. I'm just an old warrior on the trying to hang in there and do stuff. But I've done all those kind of things, and I'm going to do one more year with the team. And I don't know after that what I'm going to do. I'm already staying longer. The longest running sports writer in DC at 46 years now. 46 years. I started in 1978. So everybody I was with is gone. So I don't travel as much to things like that anymore. And you can watch a lot of stuff on TV now too that you don't need to go to be there. Brady carried Belichick on his shoulders, Albert. I'd say it was a 50-50 deal. And I know they haven't won as much since, but we haven't had the quarterback in New England. Belichick, don't this. I wouldn't hire Belichick now at this point with this team, but I think he could go to some place that's a little better situated and do well. Brandon, bring back Kirk Cousins on a 3-year deal. Woo! I don't think Kirk would come though. I don't think so. MTC for him. Thank you so much for chipping in. I do appreciate everybody doing that because it helps me do this show at least a few more weeks. We've done every. I missed 1 week. I think I had COVID the week we missed in August, but I've done a weekly shows since training camp opened. I'm tired, so I'm going to do a little more and then take a break from some of the off season. Tony, as a vet of the newsroom, would you have done different with regard to the internet and content in the early days of digital, knowing what you know now? I was just telling somebody about this all day. Game stories. We used to write, so and so kicked a 48-yard field goal as the Washington Redskins beat the Dallas Cowboys 20-6. So, something like that. And we don't do that anymore. You have to have backstories and game. And it's not a game story, it's sort of a backstory of what happened with going into this kind of game so much. It's so different. And they said that to us in the late 90s. Hey, this internet's going to be this. And you thought, what do they know? But a lot of what they predicted about the internet was true, and a lot of it's become a Trojan horse, which has just killed newspapers. And I only write, well, I write for a magazine that's printed out, but I write for a radio station website and do this, among other stuff. I have other things going on too. New book coming out soon, Presidents in Drinking. We're going to have that on the show next week. I don't know if we'll order it next week, but it's getting real close. What about going after Mayfield, Joe? I know he had a decent year this year. I think he's in the right spot. I would tell Baker, stay where you are. This seems to work out well for you. Stay there. Success in the league, especially with quarterbacks, is all about how well do you mesh with the coaches. And if you don't, it's not always a good fit. It's not, and I blame coaches more than players. You're supposed to adapt to the player to make him successful. That's why you're coaching them. That's when the Gruden RG3 thing went last week, which I thought was silly because it was 10 years ago that we're talking about. But RG had a point of Gruden was brought in to make RG a better quarterback, and he didn't. Yeah, I don't know why, but he just didn't see it in him, so he moved on. Well, you were hired to take care of this. So, it falls on coaches too, just as much. 70 Chip, Ben Johnson comes to DC. Who we get for OC? I mean, there's talk about Mark Brunell coming, which would be kind of funny. I don't think I've ever covered a. Well, no, Kerrigan. I was trying to think if I covered a player who became a coach here. Kerrigan. There's one offhand. I hope Kerrigan gets to stay with the new staff. I mean, I like Ryan and all, so we'll see what happens. They usually hire somebody who's on the old staff, one guy who knows where the keys are to everything, something. So I hope it's Ryan. Todd Bowles reminds me of Richie Pettibone's defense. Ooh, Joe, I like that. That is, I thought some about that too. Very good observation. CM, I live in Orlando. Ooh, I'll say hi to Mickey. Too hot in Orlando, man. The summer. 6-year-old is trending to a Jags fan. Ooh, he must be the only one. Should I convert him a Commanders fan? Well, yes, no matter what. But I think the Commanders. I'm not sure how good they'll be this year. But by next year, I'm hoping they're a lot better. How did I approach my research for the new book, Abe? I drank a lot. No, I'm kidding. I did a lot of historical reading about them, and I know a lot about presidents already. Because as a tour guide in DC, I do a lot of talks about presidents, like George Washington. I grew up across the river from Mount Vernon. I've been walking Mount Vernon for 60 years. So I knew a lot about presidents. My book is not a dissertation on presidents. It's sort of a down and dirty. Here's what they liked. Here's some funny things about them, and we're on to the next president. It's a quick flip kind of book. It's not meant to teach you everything about everything. It's just kind of a quick bathroom read kind of thing. That's what I write anymore. If you read my 100 Things Redskins fans should know and do before they die, or Commanders fans, same kind of thing. Although that was more. That was like 300 and some pages. But my president's book is that, and I learned a lot, about presidents and drinking and stuff. I didn't know Jimmy Carter was a winemaker, for instance. That surprised me. The colonial people in America drank 3 times more alcohol than we do today because the water wasn't safe to drink back then in a lot of places. And they even had kids drinking kind of a combination booze called cider kin. I didn't know John Adams was drank a lot. I mean, the original founding fathers drank a lot. I didn't know George drank that much either. Those dudes drank because they couldn't drink the water. I guess you need some liquid in you. Kind of amazing. So there's a lot of fun little things in there. Some recipes of favorite drinks that they had, stuff like that. It's a quick, easy read. And I'm only going to make it $15, shipping included, and I'll sign it for you since you're all here. But next week, hopefully, I'll show you the cover, all that stuff. Who would I like to consider for a D coordinator if you hire an offensive OC? David's asked. I don't care. I'm not worried about it. I'll let them hire who they want. I don't get that deep into the numbers anymore with things like that. Thoughts on how the team handled Trent Williams or Alex Smith's medical situation? Bison for life. Oh, back. Trent, they blew. I mean, that's a scary thing when you really found out all the stuff about Trent and the cancer on his head and everything. Man, that's scary. And I don't blame Trent for being upset. Alex, I think they gave Alex the best care they could. And they gave him the time to heal. And they didn't ask him to come back. He could have not come back if he wanted, but he was proving something to himself. So I don't have any problem with the Alex one, but the Trent one, he has a legitimate beef. And they do have a new training staff. They have Al Bellamy, who I've known 30 years, whatever. He does a good job. I knew him when he was a young guy as like assistant trainer for Bubba Tire, who was a legend. So I think he does a good job for that. Greg Minuski was the DC. Yeah. Oh, Greg Williams is looking for he said he's been approached about a defensive coordinator's job by several teams. So Greg with an extra G for genius wants to come back to DC. That would be kind of cool. Greg could be a little interesting to talk to at times, but I liked him and he was a smart guy. He's a good coordinator. He gets a little too testosterone. He's got a lot of dog in him, as Doc Walker likes to talk about. He's got a lot of dog in him. Maybe not need quite as much dog on there. All right, halfway through the show. It always goes by quick on that. Jack Pardee was a former player, became a head coach for Joe Gibbs. True. Yeah. I didn't know him so much as a player, but I mean, I knew him as a coach. Well, I didn't cover him back then. That's a little bit before me, just as a kid watching. But he had, if I remember, Pardee went 10-6. So no, he went 500, and it was kind of funny. He went winning year, 500 year, losing year. Finished 500 overall after 3 years, if I remember right. And then George Allen came. I just kind of laughed yesterday when the Buffalo kicker missed that field goal. I thought, "Ooh, it's Norwell again." But no, it's Norwood. I thought, "Oh yeah, okay." It was, I don't know, 30 years ago that kick. So I was close. Greg the Bounty Hunter. Yeah, Abe, that's where Greg went too far. Can't have bounties on people. And in today's NFL, players don't want to do bounties. They don't hate each other like the old days. Today, everybody's part of the NFL, brethren. And so you see a lot of opposing players help others up. I mean, it's always happened, but you see it more now. You see them laughing, talking to each other on the field during the game, and because they kind of might know each other, they look at each other as fellow NFL players, not Commanders and Cowboys. That kind of thing's gone. Albert, thank you so much for coming. Ron the Philly. Okay, so Braden, yeah, Ron Rivera was interviewed up with Philly. I don't see it happening, but if he wants to do it, go do it. I mean, I think he's earned the right to do whatever he wants. If I were him, I'd take a year off or maybe go work for the league. I think Ron would be really good to go work in the league. He's well respected. He's on the rules committee, although he's got to be a head coach to continue that. But I think his knowledge of the game would be beneficial to helping improve the game, rules, referees, all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to see him go there more. Wide right, yeah, Joe. Yeah, it was shocking when Buffalo missed that field goal at the end. I felt bad for people. These people put their heart and soul in this thing, and you should be rewarded once in a while with your team winning. Like this fan base deserves to have a Super Bowl in the near future. You guys have suffered through enough, and so have a lot of other teams. So I don't mind getting. That's why I hope the Lions do well. and let their fans get a taste of it. So the trivia question all of you will know is, who's the last team to beat the Lions in the NFC Championship and deny them the Super Bowl? I'll wait for a second while everybody wonders. Yeah, we all know who it is. It's the Redskins. I covered that game. It was a cold, nasty, rainy day at RFK, and they beat Detroit pretty easily, if I remember, like 27-6 or something like that. I don't remember score exactly. Not after 32 years. I don't remember numbers like that anymore. I'm getting old. I save my brain for things I can remember. Roy, Greg Williams deserves another shot as a coordinator. I agree. He did a good job, DC Defenders. I saw the DC Defenders once live and kind of, kept an eye on them, but I'm not going to do Defender shows or anything like that. It's not that good of football, and that kind of wears me out. If you got to watch football all year, I don't want to watch football all year. I want to go watch baseball for a while or something. It doesn't have to be every week all year. Get tired of it. So in the next few weeks, I'll start watching a little more college basketball, which I like much better. The NBA bores me. I like baseball, but that doesn't start till April. And hockey, hockey's great live, but on TV it kind of bores me. And the Caps are just okay this year. I know we're all watching Ovi, but Ovi's not breaking that record this year. I was disappointed the Bills. I think most of the nation we like to see new teams win. Who wants to see the same team win every year? I mean, Kansas City's in their sixth straight AFC championship. Haven't won them all. Kind of goes back to the Buffalo Bills won 5 straight AFC title games. Washington beat them in the Super Bowl as the last of those 5. And you thought, gee, but they did go 5 straight. They were a good team. They just couldn't win the Super Bowl. Well, Kansas City, look at all what their got going on. Even got Taylor Swift in the stands watching them. So, yeah, that Taylor thing, I mean, that's their business, and I wish them well, her and Kelsey. But, boy, it couldn't have worked out any better for the NFL to have Taylor Swift in the stands and a team that's a game away from the Super Bowl. No, it's not fixed, and they're going to take Taylor to Super Bowl. We'll see what happens there. I think Baltimore wins. And I like Baltimore. I like Detroit. Let's see. I never get the rule if a runner is about to score and he fumbles out of the end zone, the other team gets it. Yeah, 70 chip. I mean, it's a controversial thing where the ball rolls through the end zone, no one got to touch it, and now it's the defensive players rewarding the defense, I guess, for making the stop and penalizing the offense for losing the ball. Otherwise, if you didn't do it this way, the offense has the ball on the goal line, and they're the ones that made the mistake. I don't know if I don't really like the rule. There's talk about changing it, but I don't think they will. Gregory, why didn't Greg Williams get the job here after Joe Gibbs left? I'll tell you why. He was too strong a personality for Dan Snyder to handle. And Dan Snyder was kind of afraid of him, I think, and just didn't want to deal with it. He wanted somebody that he could control, which ended up being Zorn. And what a mess that was. Dan Snyder preferred to play with his toys than win. And that's why I say, Harbaugh, maybe you want to, you won't love him as much, but would you love a title? I think you'll love him more if he does win a title. All right, well, Ben Johnson, I mean, that's the front runner, but like I said, we got to see if Ben Johnson comes in here and goes, I will slay all your enemies. Ooh, I like that guy. What's good? Or does he go, hello, everybody, how are you? I don't know the man to be able to say that. What was the town like when we were in the NFC Championship game? Mojo Daddy. Here's something. I was wondering about this yesterday. Last time we went to the Super Bowl, before the NFC Championship game, all the season ticket holders, they had a lottery. And like 10,000 of them had the right to buy Super Bowl tickets. The ticket scalping people came by, and I was trying to remember how much it was. I think they were offering you $500 if you would sell your rights to your tickets before that NFC Championship game. And if Washington had lost, you still kept the $500. But if you waited till after the game, you got and they won, you got $1,000. So you were risking something there. If you didn't sell early and they lost, you had zero. So a lot of people who knew they wouldn't go to the Super Bowl no matter what, were selling their options, basically. I don't know if they still do that or not. I don't know because this team hasn't had it. I don't know if anyone else has ever heard that one, but that's what used to happen. I remember that so much. They had the NFC Championship press conferences downtown in big hotels. Um, it was a big deal, and I covered those. It was my first real experience doing that kind of thing, and it was exciting. I remember going to the Super Bowl. I was one of we had 10 people from the Washington Times when I worked there, and I was one of the lesser guys. I was doing other stuff too. Once was a young reporter, and the guys. It was just exciting. I thought, wow, I'm at the Super Bowl, and I did cover a few more after that. Um, I'm trying to show you a picture I have here. Where is this thing? Oh, here it is. See, I told you I was a young reporter. Here I am with my wife. This is like 1982. Yes, I am wearing John Travolta's white suit. Yes, children did ask me for ice cream. Well, so and so's. But yeah, my wife and we've been married 43 years. And yeah, I actually look thin there, don't I? Because I lost a whole lot of weight that year. Got down to like 172 pounds. And I still have my mustache. It's just not as dark as it used to be. But yeah, old people weren't always old. Just remember that. So, let's see. The so Llewellyn trade John Allen. I don't think they're going to trade John Allen. I just don't. I know John Allen was upset at the end of the year, and we all know the story about that. But I think fences were mended, and I would be surprised if they trade John. But if they could trade John for Justin Fields straight up, do it. Looks like you outkicked your coverage. Thank you, Tony. Yes, I did. Matter of fact, my wife retires on Friday. We're having a retirement luncheon at work tomorrow. She's been at the same agency 43 years. So she gets to relax and enjoy her retirement. She deserves it. Me, I'm just a dog, keep doing stuff. What else would I do on there? So we got 15 minutes to go. If you want to hit the thanks button, which is that dollar sign below me, I appreciate it. It helps me keep doing the show because if I got nothing, I wouldn't do them anymore. So we have a good crowd tonight. So if you can throw a couple bucks, it's $2, $5, $10, whatever. $1 million, and you will be my favorite person. Might do a pizza meetup show, not a meetup show, but a meetup in DC come spring. A lot of people have asked. Maybe I'll come by a pizza place. Well, if you buy my pizza, you can sit next to me. 70 chip, the seat cushion game. Yeah, I remember that. They gave away cushions a couple years ago, but it was after the game. And I asked somebody, why didn't you give them the cushions going in? They actually won that game. You could have recreated one of the iconic moments in Redskins history with people throwing them. I guarantee you they would have thrown them after in that game. And I was told they were afraid that people were all going to throw them at Snider in his box because it was an open window. And they were afraid everybody was going to do that. I said, you know what? You made the right call because I think they would have. So they gave people the cushions on the way out the gate. Let's see, Gregory. I still think we get a free agency quarterback. Well, you'll probably keep one. You keep it Sam because he's on a cheap deal, and he did okay this year. Let's not say that Sam stunk because he didn't. He wore out, I think, more than anything. But I'm sure they'll have another free agent because there's no guarantee you're getting somebody in the draft. I mean, you may decide to trade it and take something else. So I'm sure Jacoby Brissett, I think, will probably get a bigger number elsewhere and probably go play elsewhere, but maybe he likes it here. I like Jacoby. He was a nice guy. Mojo, in your opinion, how important is the front office in building the winner? It's everything, man. If you don't have the players, you got no luck. You have to draft well. You have to draft well. Free agency is a supplemental. I love that Adam Peters said that and said, I'm building this team in the draft and we'll pick up some players in free agency. Got to do that. You got to hit on your draft picks. This team has not done well drafting in recent years. Ooh, well, if I ever had Lito's pizza, I didn't get this size not eating Lito pizza. Yes, I don't think it's as good as it used to be, and the chains are inconsistent at times. But oh yeah, I like their sauce more than anything. A little sweeter. I've actually written stories about Lito's. I did a big piece for this food group about Lito's Pizza. It's called Lita, and it's actually Lito, no S. We say the S, but it's not. It's Lita. And the owner, the original owner, was fighting in World War II. He was on a plane over Italy, They got diverted because of, I guess fighting and the emergency land in this little place in the Italian Alps. And they thought, my God, where are we? And they looked at the street sign that said Lido. And that's why they named the pizza place Lido. And the son of the owner told me too that you have to pay signs, you pay by the letter, and it's 4 letters. So that worked out too. And their pizza square because that's the tins that they bought just happened to be square. So that's why they did it. And their pepperonis are so thick because they just faster cut that way. That's what they told me. I ate pizza there last week. I had my grandkids with me while I ate pizza at Lido's. I like Lido. Um, Burgundy and gold. I hope we don't trade up. I agree with you there. I would not trade up to one. Daniel, thanks for coming. Appreciate you being here. Joe, I would keep Hal for at least one more year and trade down. Well, I think Hal's got 2 years left on his deal, and I expect him here those 2 years. What we got? 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go. Okay, so anybody out there, it's been holding back. If you can't throw money at me, which I always appreciate with the dollar sign, if you can't do that, hit the thumbs up button because that makes the algorithm happy, if nothing else. And it distributes the show to more people. So if nothing else, you cheap blanky blanks, hit the thumbs up button. At least give me that. Yeah, next week we can talk about books and ordering, help subsidize it. I'm just kind of semi-retired here, hanging on. Once I go, the stories go with me. So use me while you can. Say that. Well, Baker Mayfield's a free agent. I think he's perfect. I think he's well suited for Tampa, and he should stay there. It's not everything's about money. It's also about success. They got all the money they need. Baker Mayfield, if he doesn't cash another paycheck in the NFL, will never go hungry. So, you shouldn't at least. But a lot of players go broke because all their families suck off the money on that. I remember a player telling me that he paid for 17 cell phones. Everybody in his family had a phone. They all said, "You're rich, you pay for it." He was paying 17 cell phones. I mean, that's crazy. That's how the money goes. Women, let's be honest. There's a lot of young women looking to get paid, to get pregnant. The NFL has whole seminars about how to avoid this kind of thing. It's called a condom. I remember when Albert Hainsworth was sued by a stripper for getting her pregnant, and I thought, you had unprotected sex with a stripper? Are you insane? Have you heard about these diseases, that can kill you? Wow, that's just nuts. So if you're young, most of my audience is 45 and older, so you guys know better about these things. But anybody young, yeah, don't be stupid. It literally can end your life. Um, so yeah, all right. So, but if you hit the thanks button, you will live eternally in my heart for everything. Anybody here in Washington area knows it's been colder than a bear down around here lately. I've been doing tours occasionally 'cause people just want to go, but it's cold as all. But it's going to warm up. It's going to be 60 this weekend. I'm for that. I like living in this. I live south of DC. I moved here last year. Good. How far am I now? About 35, 40 miles south of DC, in southern Maryland. And the weather actually is easier down here. You wouldn't think so, but it is. Didn't snow nearly as much as up here in DC. Let's see. Tyreek Hill missed that seminar. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've known players who have had many, many multiple kids. One of them in particular had 7 kids with 6 women that I knew of. That was years ago. There used to be a local sheriff's deputy show up at Redskin Park every Monday because I'd be there every Monday to go see the bookkeeper about somebody's child support. We had a player arrested in a lobby when we were in Florida for overdue child support. The woman waited for him to come to Florida where she was. Cops put the cuffs on him. The players all passed the hat. They raised like 15 grand. And I'm not saying his name because it's not fair to do that. But anyway, they got the 15 grand. She was satisfied. They took the cuffs off and he played the game. I didn't hear about the story for a while afterwards, so I didn't report on it. And today it's not fair to do that to him. So, you know, but I've seen the drama in Dallas this week. No, I haven't paid attention much to the Cowboys this week. Well, they all want to fight with each other. Let them. Do you think it's a wild card game this year? Is correct. I don't know if they'll make the wild card this year, but I think they'll get near it. Tony, wow, Tony, you're my favorite guy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know Tony's out there doing the hard work, writing about things, and done a great job. So thank you so much, Tony. I do appreciate it. See, look, Steve. Well, Steve's contributed that much. It just took 10 weeks. And Steve, I appreciate it. Steve has not missed a minute of any show except one at Christmas time because he had to go see his family. But Steve hasn't missed a minute of a show since. That's pretty amazing. And he doesn't live in town here, so we can't meet up. There's a guy who has messaged me today. I've seen his drawings. He has an idea for the new RFK Stadium to make it kind of look like the other end of the National Mall, which it kind of is. It's on the other side of the Capitol, National Mall. And he wants to make it iconic, sort of like the Lincoln Memorial and the water. And it's pretty impressive. And he sent me a note today saying, "Hey man, I'm coming to town. Can we meet up, show you this new stuff?" He's showing it to politicians. But tomorrow's my wife's uh, luncheon at her office for her retirement, so I would be exiled if I did something like that. But there are people out there with ideas. How was Joe Gibbs' relationship with the press mojo? Very good. I mean, everybody respected Joe. Everybody liked Joe. He didn't always do everything I would have liked at times. He was always 40 minutes late to the Monday presser. And I think you should be on time for such things. And if you're going to be 40 minutes late every week, just make the presser 40 minutes later and we'll show up then. My time is important too. David, there we go. We got a tip war here going. I appreciate that. So, David, thank you so much. Yeah, who's going to let David beat them out? Put some money up. A few of you did hit the thumbs up button. I do appreciate that. And you're thinking, God, has Rick become a whore in his old age? Yeah, pretty much. Got to eat too. Journalism business is not what it once was. And at this point, I mean, you see the Sports Illustrated. I got to work at SI for a year for the website, not the magazine. And I considered it an honor to work there. And then I got let go as part of the pandemic stuff and all. And they had people buy SI and they just ruined it. Ruined it. They wanted SI for the photos and merchandising opportunities, and they were made to keep the editorial for so long. That group ended up selling it to the current group, and now we're going to lose SI as an editorial product. And guys like me, just, nobody's going to hire me in my 60s to do this. Everybody wants to hire you for $1, and I'm not working for $1 anymore. Though here it seems like it, but now I make more from YouTube than I do working for the radio station. How crazy is that? It's the new world of how we're doing things. It's one thing I remember the early days. I was asked about what it was like internet early days of journalism. Is the editors would say, "You are becoming your own brand," and I'm like, "No, no, the Washington Times is my brand." They're like, "No, no, you are your own brand with this social media." It took me a long time to understand that, but it is true. That's why it's Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story kind of thing. So I say all that if you ever wonder, because it's the algorithm listening. And the algorithm says, "Ooh, you said please like, share, subscribe, and whatever," and it rewards me, sending me about half the traffic that watches my videos are referred to me by YouTube's search engine. That's just how this all works. And about half of your are followers. So hit the follow button if you are not a follower of Rick Snyder, Washington. I don't know why else you'd be here, but if you're not, go hit that follow button too. I would appreciate it. SI shutting down because the greedy bastards who bought it, don't want to pay the money for editorial. They just want to sell the images out and make money that way. We do have to pay. You have to pay writers and editors a living wage. We don't make the money you think. You see guys on TV, you hear those numbers, not the guys like me that are doing the job every day. We don't make the money you might think. Well, I know we don't make the money you think because people tell me that. Oh, you make this much, right? Nah, no, not in the wildest dream. I'd have made a lot more money as an accountant or something. But I wouldn't have had as much fun. So I'm not complaining. If I had to do it again, I'd do it again. If I could be 25 again, people say, "Oh, I wouldn't go through it all again." Oh, I'd do it in a second. Tell me I'm healthy too. Just got over a food poisoning problem. I got a day left of meds. Thank God. But man, that food poisoning put bad bacteria in me and whacked me for about 6 weeks. Sucks when you get old. Thank you, Albert. Appreciate it. And then Chiascuro. I'm sorry, I probably screwed that name up, but thank you so much for contributing. I think Kurt would come back via the Shanny connection. No, I don't think Kirk's ever coming back here. I think Minnesota will keep him, by the way. But I don't see Kirk coming back. And I think most of you would hate it. You'd be yelling about, but looking back, Kirk did have 3,000, 4,000 yard years. Of course, Sam just missed it. I think by 40 yards or something. So 4,000 yards is not quite what it once was on there. People were asking me this week about the 83 Redskins versus the 91, which had the better offense. I said 83 because the quarterbacks were about the same. 83 was Theismann and threw for 29 touchdowns. 91 was Rippon. I think he threw for 28. But 83 had Rigo, who ran for like 1,400 yards and 24 touchdowns, which was a record until Portis broke it. So I would say 83 was the better, but 91 might have been the better team. Both of them were 14-2. Lost one team lost. The 83 lost 2 games by 1 point. The 91 lost 2 games by 5 points total. They were great teams. Covered. Watch one, covered the other. Did Snider ever sell his place at Potomac? Tony, I don't know. I haven't kept up with the real estate listings, but I think we would have heard about it. I heard they dropped the price to 30 mil. He also had a place down on the Potomac River by Mount Vernon that he bought not long before, not too many months before all this stuff happened. And that's sitting empty, I understand. That was like a $50 million purchase, I think. Mojo, we got just a few minutes left. What did you think about the RG3 Gruden beef? I thought it was stupid. I mean, and I thought it was RG3 doing it more than Gruden. Gruden finally had to defend himself, and then Gruden was the one who finally said, "I'm an adult. I'm not doing this anymore." And then RG3 said, "Yeah, me too. I'm not doing this anymore either." RG3 has a tough time walking away from the game in some respects. He has a great analyst job. He does a good job at it. Move on, dude. But he doesn't seem to be able to do that. But walking away from the NFL is a hard thing to do. And it's why I'm still here too, I guess. I can't criticize them. All right, we're wrapping it up. Mojo, who would I take? Caleb, Drake, or Jaden? I'm not taking Caleb in anything that I do. Don't think he's going to be it. Drake kind of scares me a little, so I would take Jaden. But if I was drafting, I would try and say, I love these guys. They're immortals. Oh, you want to trade for them? Okay, well, I don't want to trade for them, but if you have to give me all this, I'll take it. That's where you're playing the game. So don't believe a word you hear about quarterbacks for the next 4 months, whatever. It's liars 3 months, liars poker time. You build up that guy to sell that pick to somebody else. Charles likes Lions and Chiefs. I like the Lions. I mean, it's hard to knock the Chiefs. They keep showing up. I just think Baltimore's defense is going to be good enough to stop it. It's in Baltimore. It helps a little. Didn't help Buffalo yesterday, but I'll just watch the game either way. At this point, I don't cover the game anymore. I did 5 of them live, and I did a bunch more of TV. Now I just watch the commercials with my grandkids and show them football, and they watch for the half. They watch the halftime show, and then they leave because they got school the next day, and I get to watch the second half in peace. So, that's my Super Bowl plan on everything. All right, wow, it's 9:00 in the East, 6:00 in the West. And those of you in Europe, I don't know what time it is there. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up the show. Last questions. Who's the best coach past? Joe Gibbs is part 2. Well, after that, it's Zorn. Okay, get that out of there. Shanny ruined his own thing. So I guess you say Gruden. Mojo, would you compare Drake to skills? I'm not sure to say that one yet. Thank you, David, for coming. Steve, thank you so much. Hang in there, Steve. You don't want to ruin your last minute. I'm getting out of here in a minute. We hire McDonald. He could be the next Mike Thomas, the 70 chip. That's not a bad point. Charles, thank you so much for coming, and everybody there out there. If you've missed the show earlier and you want to watch what we talked about in the beginning, just hit just wait a minute when the show goes over, and then we'll be the replay button will go, and twice as many of you watch on replay anyway. And you can hit the thanks button, that $, even in replay if you like. Have morning videos, 6 a.m. every day. Got one tomorrow morning about EB. And then usually around dinner time, We'll see what time it is. Every day I'd file something. I'm gonna do some more phone. I just did the plant-based chili. Not too many of you watched that one. It was okay, but it was bean soup on there. Thank you, Tony, so much. Appreciate it. Um, so we do a little bit of food. We're going to do a little bit of this and that in the off season, some too. Have some fun. I like to have some fun more. We got plenty of serious people out there to watch. So if you're that serious about it, watch them. If you want to have a fun laugh here and there, watch me. And with that, that's right. I got the bell. My grandson didn't run off with it. Uh, I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thank you so much for coming. And I'll see you again soon, maybe tomorrow morning for a video. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.